Hello, dreamers! Ready to transform your life? Welcome to Shaw of Saint Augustine, Living the Dream. I'm Amber Shaw, your wellness expert and local realtor, passionate about empowering you to live your best life. From uplifting health tips and exciting travel adventures to stunning Florida home tours, this channel is your go-to for inspiration and insights into the 8 dimensions of wellness. Hit that subscribe button and let's embark on this transformative journey together. Hello and welcome to the Jacksonville Zoo. Let's go take a look around. You do have to purchase your tickets in advance before you go into the zoo. This is the view from the train. We got the total experience, so it included the train, the carousel, and a few other things like the 4D. After we got off the train, we were able to walk around and we saw the lion enclosure with these 2 turtles that were basking there. And then the lion and the lioness were taking a little snooze on the plane there. The lion was behind the lioness. And next time I visit, a few minutes later, the lion moves. And then here is my daughter, Naomi. There was actually a giraffe here named Naomi, so my son was making fun of her, calling her a giraffe. But indeed, she is not a giraffe. And we also got to pet the stingrays. So there are my kids enjoying the stingray petting area. They also had a feeding time that was scheduled for the stingrays, but we did not feed them. We just petted them and had some fun with that and then moved on. But my kids love feeding and petting the stingrays, especially after all their experience with that kind of thing at the Boston Aquarium up in the Boston area where we're from. But here are some stingrays just floating around and enjoying themselves. They were so peaceful to watch. This experience was included in the regular day pass, so you don't need a special ticket to see the stingrays or pet the stingrays. The cool thing about the stingrays is that they seem to have personalities. So some of them like getting closer to people, and then some of them stay closer to the middle where they don't get touched. And I heard that also the best thing to do is hold your hand nice and flat. Don't use your fingernails or anything when you touch the stingrays, because they're kind of slimy, but they're also kind of rough. So you don't want to scratch them. You don't want to scratch them with your fingernails. Just give them a nice, really flat surface for them to rub up against. And then they can come and say hi to you. Really fun. Did you know that stingrays eat off of the bottom of their floor, so that their mouth is on the bottom of their body and they suck stuff up off the floor, kind of like a vacuum, and then they can sift it through and filter it out. So we can pet the top of the stingray because they're nice and slimy, but you don't want to touch their tail because the ray of the stingray is the barbed tail. So that is what they use as a defense mechanism. Don't touch their tail. And there's my other little monkey. And then we found our way over to the lions. The lioness and the lion were taking a little resting time, just hanging out, basking in the sunlight. The lion moved every so often, and then I walked away. And when I came back, the lion was in a new spot. And then we saw this Simac, I believe is what it was called. So it was like not a monkey, not a gorilla, not a chimpanzee, but it was a Simac. So it looked like a monkey of some sort, but it also looked a little bit bored. Yeah, he was all droopy and his area was kind of stinky, and honestly, if I was in that area, I'd probably be a little bit upset too. I like visiting the zoos to see the animals and learn about them and stuff, but I really don't like watching them in captivity, because imagine, it reminds me of going in the lockdown times and not being allowed to go anywhere, and if I was an animal locked in a cage, I'd probably go insane, and then they would kill me. Yeah. So here's the lion and the lioness again, and they're just chilling out, maxing, relaxing, acting all cool, and then I saw this squirrel, and I was like, look at that squirrel. And then we saw some flamingos. Now, I'll tell you, the flamingo area really smells, but it did remind me of Aruba, one happy island where there is a flamingo area on Aruba, and it's really fun. And then this guy was a big red thing, and he was hard to find at first, but then I saw that he was like rubbing his antlers in the trees or something. It was really hard to get a good view of him. So I made a ton of videos just trying to see if I could see his face. And he looked like he was having a good time just scratching. And then I just felt like watching him a little bit longer. And again, imagine if you were like an animal in the zoo and people were just watching you all day long. And there's like literally a setup there where you can't get any privacy so that people can just view you all day long. Sometimes I wonder what that might be like. How would you feel if that was you? So here he goes, again. I was able to find him from a different angle, and he was hiding behind this part of the tree where he could scratch his head a little bit. And I know that I was getting bitten by those little no-see-ums that were out, and I kept getting them like on the back of my neck. So I wonder if these guys get bitten by these flies all day long and get tortured and don't know what else to do. And then you wonder if they get like lonely and stuff. All right, so then we went into the reptile area where they had a bunch of cool looking snakes. And what I was really impressed was how active the snakes were. Not this guy particularly, but coming up soon you'll see. Now this was like I want to say it was a copper striped something, whatever. And then this little weird looking thing, I was like, somebody walked up and they were like, that thing doesn't even look real. And I was like, honestly, that looks like evolution in the making. All right, now this guy, I think, oh yeah, he's getting active. He was all over the place. I don't know what he was looking for or what, if he was hungry, if it was feeding time, but I don't think I've ever seen a snake move this much inside of a zoo enclosure before. And these enclosures are pretty small too, because, and again, it's like interesting because you read right on the thing and it'll go like, oh, this, animal usually has a range of this many square miles or something like that in this wild area. And then here it is in this like little tiny enclosure. But they tell you that sometimes these animals are like injured or recovering, or they wouldn't make it out in the wild or whatever. So who knows, maybe they're happy with their little enclosure. And then this guy hanging on top of a door. I don't want to say what he was. I want to say maybe a bearded dragon. I forget. Or I don't know. But another reptile for you. Enjoy that guy. And then we get a little bit bigger. So this was one of the bigger snakes here. And I saw him all over his enclosure. Look at how big he is. That was probably the biggest snake that they had there. And I don't remember what it's called. So if you want to see what it is, just go to the Jacksonville Zoo for yourself, and then you can see the elephant named Ali, who was donated by Michael Jackson, which is something that they said on the train, and that was pretty interesting. So I wonder if Michael Jackson had this elephant just like in Neverland somewhere. That would be really interesting. That was one thing that I was joking about, because I know that there are a lot of people in Florida that have their own farms, and then you can get exotic animals. And I think that literally one time I read about this hippo that washed up onto the shore, and they didn't even know what it was at first, but then they discovered that it was actually a hippopotamus. So somebody must have been transferring a hippopotamus on a boat, and then it got loose on the boat or something, but it fell off the boat, and then it came up onto shore. Because the only explanation was that it was a hippo, because it didn't really look like a manatee or anything else. And then over here by the elephant enclosure, all the kids and my friend, they were doing a little photo shoot. So I was doing a little photo shoot for them, and we were having fun with that. My son is such a little ham. He loves being in the spotlight, and one of these days I'm going to make him his own little channel. And I was just following this elephant around. Honestly, it's funny because like all day long I'm in a hurry. But when I got to the elephant enclosure, I was just really encouraged to sit there and just watch and see what he did. And still, unfortunately, I did feel bad for the elephant, because for a long time he was standing over there looking out of the fence as if somebody was coming or he was going to go somewhere. And he was like, like a longing to get out or something. And then he started walking around and covering himself with some water. So I guess the water was cooling him down, and the sun was coming out and he was getting hot and stuff like that. So that was cute. And I just enjoyed hanging out with him and watching him spray himself and try to get some good pictures while I was making some videos, but it was kind of far away and I just have my phone anyway. So I don't really have like a DSLR high resolution camera or anything. But there's Ali, and then he's just wandering around. Kind of reminded me of the time that I went to Thailand and was walking around trying to just have a good time, and then ended up finding this elephant, but he was chained up, and then I went and petted him and stuff, and they said that I could ride him if I paid money to ride him and stuff, but with the chain, I just really didn't want to ride him if he had a chain. So it was nice to see that this one had some nice water to play with and was kind of playing. I think someone was able to identify that this was a male elephant, which is good because the female elephants in elephant societies actually live in groups, and there's like a matriarch and stuff. But some fun facts about elephants, just so you can hear, is they have usually a built-in air conditioner system where like their ears, they flap their ears, and they have so much blood vessels in their ears that they can cool themselves off by fanning the ears. And then they have a communication system that they use that includes vocalizations, body language, and seismic signals, which means that they can stomp on the ground and like feel each other and stuff. Did you know that an elephant would be pregnant with a baby elephant for 22 months? That's like almost 2 years. And elephants also love swimming, so they love keeping their trunks up as a snorkel and using that when they go swimming. I don't think this guy had his own pool, but they also usually like to use their tusks as weapons if they have tusks. So unfortunately, this guy didn't have any tusks. But then we move on to the lions and the lionesses. Usually the lionesses are going to be your hunters, and then the lionesses will share their food with the male lions. But here, if we have this beautiful little couple over here and they were just chilling out. It was a nice day here. It was actually like 70 degrees. The sun was out, so it felt a little bit warmer, but sometimes if you were in the shade, it felt a little bit cooler. So we were just enjoying watching these guys and seeing what they would do. It's really interesting to wonder what the wild animals at the zoo are going to be doing, honestly, as if they have a choice other than just to sit there or get like medicated to be tranquilized or whatever. But so I thought that it was fun to watch the lioness. I forget what her name was. I think it was Babette. I feel like there was like a Babette for some reason. And then we had the giraffes, and they had a giraffe feeding. They had like a giant tub where you could pick out some leaves. The guy actually handed you the leaves, and then he let you feed the giraffe. And there were 7 giraffes that I saw, and there was like one here, and then there were 2 over there that were like standing very close to each other. And we got to feed them. I was trying to get a video of me feeding the giraffe too, but my son did it for me. And here we go. There I am feeding the giraffe. Hooray! And then my son said he didn't get it on the camera, but he did. And then I had gotten another piece. So he was like, usually we don't give you a second piece, but today I will. I was like, yay. So then these are the 2 giraffes that were like just standing like this, like the whole time. And I was wondering, I was like, I wonder if that girl, so here's the one that was eating. But this one, these were just like standing here like this. And every time that girl in front wanted to move, the guy behind her kept moving too. And I was like, I wonder if she's like in heat or something. And that's why they are standing like that. And he's just like claiming her or something so that nobody else can. Because I'm wondering if that's like a defensive thing that he might do as like a couple. Or how do they know when to change turns? Like the giraffes are just kind of like standing. And these 2 are like just watching, being like, I want to turn, but like, when do you get in there and like tell them they can take their turns? I don't know. I didn't see anybody in there with them or anything, but look at these guys. They just stood there like this, and he's like leaning on her a little bit. So I think he was a boy, and then she was a girl in the front. And then my kids were just hanging around like little monkeys, which is fine. This place was really cute, actually, I've got to say. They did a good job over here at the Jacksonville Zoo. You should definitely go check it out. But more of the giraffes, because I was really interested to see if they were going to move, but they didn't. So they just really just stood like this for a long time. But then, you know, in the background over there, you can see the other ones that are moving. And you're like, what are they doing? And it's interesting also to see that these giraffes are in this community and in this area like this, because don't they usually have like, you know, like thousands of square miles to go? All right, so then we went down the carousel, and the carousel was super cute, and honestly, it was really well kept and in good shape. So I was really impressed with the carousel, and that was included with the total experience. You didn't get the carousel with the not total experience. So we did go on that like twice, and I think that we would say maybe a 5-minute or less is the rotational period, because I think I made a video while we were on the carousel and it was like a whole 2 minutes of rotational time, but then there was like another 2 or 3 minutes where they had to do their safety prompts and whatnot. So they actually said that like, so you could stand with your kid on the carousel and they had a body limit. So even though they put X number of people up on there, some of the seats were empty because they only wanted to put a certain amount of people and then allow more people. Maybe like there was a weight limit or something. But so I was kind of sad because right after I got on my first time, I think, our first time, I forget, but we were in line at one point and like the kid behind me was crying and stuff, which was really disheartening. But I don't know if he had like a thing going on. But either way, this kid was like crying and stuff. And then like we got on and then they closed the line and she was like, oh, nobody else. And I was like, dude, can't you let this kid on? Anyways, I didn't ask, but like, you know, I was just like watching, and it's really weird to observe these kinds of things and feel like you can't do anything about it. But anyways, the carousel was really cute and you should go check it out because the animals on the carousel were really cute. And again, they were in really good shape. So it was fun to be there and that was really nice. I enjoyed the carousel and I liked making videos of it because I love how detailed it is. Saint Augustine has a carousel too. We used to, at least, and then we got rid of it, but I think it's coming back. And then I got to go see the penguins and I made some videos of the penguins. The penguins were really cute because you could see underneath the area where they were swimming and then you could see the top part too. But it was interesting to see them swimming, and some other people were watching them swimming too, and there was like a little baby near me too. And there's like, if you go up, you can see their living space on the surface, and then if you went down, there were little windows where you could see them swimming underneath there. And there was, at first there was a guy. I thought there was a guy that was in there, and then he must have left or something, but... And then we saw the jaguar. Oh, that was it. The jaguar girl was Babette, and then the boy was Harry or Henry. So there's Babette right there. And then the other one was on the prowl. Oh, and there's a picture my friend took of me feeding the giraffe. And then this girl was running around all day wearing peacocks in her hat. And for sticking around, you get a funny story. So I'm at the zoo, and I was just walking by some lady, and she said, vagina still sore dreads. And I was like, what? And then I thought, oh, she said dinosaur dreads. And that was my day at the zoo, so go ahead and check it out, and I'll see you in St. Augustine. Thanks for watching. I hope you found inspiration today. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more wellness tips. If you didn't enjoy it, thumbs up and subscribe anyways. But until next time, embrace every moment and live the dream with the Shah of St. Augustine. Bye!